I want to just give you a brief kind of some bullet points on John Madden's career, but I kind of think I want to use it more as a vehicle to just talk about this phenomenon with the left, where I think that they seek to destroy America's heroes. But let's just talk about John Madden a little bit, and specifically, this professor that decided just to put out this slanderous lie about him mere hours after his death was announced. So you have somebody who goes to Dallas College. He's a professor of history. So, clearly his sports takes are extremely important. We all need to hear this.
Yeah.
He said that Madden's video game, which is an important piece of his legacy, especially for folks in my generation who didn't necessarily see him when he was coaching the Raiders or when he was the single most popular broadcaster on television. They said that the video game was, quote, plantation cosplay, and also it dehumanized black athletes, and he called it a digital plantation. So this has a lot of echoes to the Colin Kaepernick stuff, right?
Right.
Where he's saying, oh, well, the NFL draft is basically like a slave auction, even though it's, totally voluntary and these guys get paid handsome sums of money and it's all completely.
Yeah, they're measuring your performance so that
and
they
a lot
can
of these
pay
guys
you
improve their stock
millions
at the draft.
of dollars. Yeah.
Like they improve their standing. But regardless, like John Madden, especially for a lot of our viewers out there who are watching this, John Madden was football. I mean, this guy never had a losing season as a head coach, won a Super Bowl with the Raiders, and then he goes on to become the single most important broadcaster, probably short of Al Michaels, in American history. I mean, every single person has stolen a page out of John Madden's playbook. And back in that time, there wasn't like, NFL Red Zone and all this. Like there were 2 or 3 national games on a week that you could maybe watch.
Yeah.
So when Madden had your team, it was like, oh my gosh, John Madden's doing my team. Like everything stopped and you had to go watch this thing. But of course, this professor just decided to just launch this baseless character assassination. And so many of the guys, even in the NFL currently, like we have a great piece that, Grant Atkinson wrote on the Western Journal today that's just got dozens of tributes from active NFL players who are talking about how meaningful Madden was to them. And I think just something I want to mention too, kind of before we open this up into a larger conversation, is Madden impacted 3 generations of people. He impacted the players that he coached, the people that watched him on television, and guys like me who played his video game and fell in love with football and competition and this idea of like everybody working towards a larger goal. And I think that's the part that makes this criticism so ridiculous, is there are very few people that impacted, you could argue, millions of lives in such an amazing, memorable way as John Madden did. So I think my first question is to you both, and I have a theory on this as well, but I want to hear your perspective, and we'll start with Abby. Why does the left try and eat American heroes alive? Like, what is their obsession with trying to tear down the people that have achieved great things in this country?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't think there's any good answer for that, except that there is just kind of almost a growing fear of the celebrity culture that we ourselves have created in America. And so there's just some sort of impulsive need to like, oh, remember, not everyone is all good. But then it's like the left swings all the way to the other side, and it's like, so that means they're just purely evil. And it doesn't make any sense, this kind of character assassination. Especially, I just got to say, it's just absurd that it's always happening to dead people. And it's like punching a baby. You're like, they can't do anything. It's like, it's absolutely absurd. And I'm not even quite sure what it's born out of, other than just kind of this obsession with having something to say about every celebrity and, not letting anybody be a true hero because, we want to be realistic. And I think it's just absurd the way that this character assassination goes on. It's cruel, it's disgusting, and it's kind of barbarous.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michael?
I think this is the political tactic of the left. They've been doing this for decades now. And if you'll notice, the criticisms when they go after people, it's either for being conservative or for not being leftist enough.
Right.
Like that's the only
That's
criticism you can get are one of those two things. They won't criticize people that are super leftist, like terrorists, for example. Like I believe it was Yasser Arafat. The Washington Post put out that article after he had died, calling him what was it, a scholar or something like that. You can look it up. It's happened a few times that terrorists have gotten very noble ends thanks to the Washington Post, New York Times, places like that. But, you know, the reason they do this, the reason they go after people like Madden, call him racist, it's all about, you know, breaking down what we have, breaking down American culture, critical theory, critical race theory. That's what they're teaching kids to do. That's how they're teaching them to view the world, is to be critical of everything. It's basically to say, okay, as long as more white people are wealthy, that means everything is evil. And anywhere you look, you can find evil if you can just find a way to explain it. And so when they look at heroes of the past, when they look at people who have been successful, especially white people who have been successful, white males, there has to be a reason. There has to be something wrong with them. There has to be something evil with them. And it had to have been an evil culture that let people like that be successful while others were not.
Here's my theory. I think the whole existence of heroes challenges this idea that the state is supreme. So the whole idea that the left pushes is we're all victims. These impossible to beat societal forces that are invisible are all ruining our lives and basically making it so it can never get ahead.
Yeah.
And yet you have people like John Madden who have like 30, 40, 50 years of unparalleled success that has a tremendous impact on people's lives. And that shatters their narrative that we're all helpless.
Yeah.
Because he is somebody that worked extremely hard, achieved great things, and then found a way to benefit his fellow man. And the state is supposed to do that in the left's mind. So I think they do this a lot of the time with our historical figures as well. Like they're yanking Jespersen statue out of the, City Hall in New York and such, because when we have like so many colorful people in our history that have done amazing things, it pushes against this idea that the state's got to come in and do it all for us.
Yeah, and the other reason you see this, and this is something you see more on the fringes of the left, just because they know if they brought it into the mainstream, they'd lose like everyone, which is the far left hates sports. Sports, a merit-based system where you get judged purely based on your performance. That's by definition to the left. That is an evil system, and that benefits people based purely on their genetics or their hard work, which who knows which they think is worse nowadays. And so the left hates sports.